Missouri's Attorney General is investigating a Washington University transgender clinic at Children's Hospital. There are claims of poor care there. Well, this announcement comes hours after News 4 sat down with the new AG, during which he never mentioned the probe. You did not vote for Andrew Bailey, so who is he? News 4 Chief Investigator Lauren Traeger has his very first interview since taking office, and no topic was off the table.
I'm a combat veteran, I'm a father of four, I'm a prosecutor, and I'm a constitutional conservative.
Has political leadership always been on the horizon, do you think?
No, it's not. You know, at the end of the day, I'm a prosecutor first and a politician second.
Did you have any reservations about taking it?
Well, you know, a lot of prayerful consideration, but at the end of the day, I love the Constitution, the rule of law, and the people of the state of Missouri, and I get to serve those principles in this role, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
What can the office do now to sort of combat the acute violent crime we're seeing? Is there a greater role that you could take right now?
Yeah, we're looking at expanding operations there, and certainly we are meeting regionally with law enforcement and prosecutors, partners in the criminal justice system, to demonstrate to them the value we add to the criminal justice system and where we fit. And so we're looking for opportunities to expand this effort, because violent crime, you know, it's things are being broken and people are being hurt. And for me, it's about getting justice for victims.
A lot of people say it comes back to guns and access to guns. Any restrictions on access to weapons that you would be for at this time to combat violent crime in the city?
Well, I think that people need to defend themselves from violent crime in the city, and we need to empower our police officers to go after violent criminals. And once the police catch the bad guys, prosecutors need to put them away.
Bailey has also publicly taken on the Columbia Public Schools for a field trip to a show that featured drag performers. He's calling for a statewide ban on drag shows for school kids.
This has obviously been an issue that has been forefront for you. Why?
Well, it's about protecting children. Our educational system needs to be about education, not indoctrination, and the parents need to have a say in that process. And if a school district transports or exposes children, 10, 11, 12-year-olds, to a drag show, that's problematic, especially where there's no parental consent to the children being exposed to that. It's shameful behavior.
How is it inherently sexualized?
It's because the drag show itself is a sexual performance. The whole point of it is to demonstrate outwardly a desired inward sexuality. The performance itself emphasizes sexual characteristics that are intended to appeal to the prurient interest. It is a form of expression of human sexuality. And we have statutes on the books that control how human sexuality is supposed to be taught in school, and it doesn't include drag shows. It doesn't authorize drag shows.
What would you say to somebody, though, who would argue it's just performative theater? It's no different than, say, Ursula and the Little Mermaid.
Well, I would say a drag show is vastly different than Ursula and the Little Mermaid. Ursula and the Little Mermaid were not intended to express sexual characteristics that are intended to appeal to the prurient interest. That is what a drag show is intended to do. And it has no place in our schools. And our parents need to be able to have a say in what their children are exposed to and what they're being taught.
What would you say to your LGBTQ constituents who feel like this is an attack on them?
This has nothing to do with attacking individuals based on their identities. This has to do with protecting children. I think everybody can get on board with the idea that certain materials dealing with human sexuality they need to be age appropriate, and certain materials need to have no place in our schools.
Do you think that if someone takes an abortion pill in Missouri, it is a violation of Missouri's laws?
Taking the pill is not a violation of Missouri law. Shipping the pills through the mail directly violates the federal law, and it violates state law.
Should the women who take those pills be prosecuted?
No, the law doesn't allow for that. Look, we shouldn't be going after women who are pregnant. We need to protect women and children and their health and safety, and that's what those laws are intended to do. We need to prohibit the shipment of the drugs into the state through the mail, and that's what the statutes say.
Turning to your campaign a little bit, I'm just reading from the press release that you want to defend our great state, continue the fight to save our country. From what are you defending the state, and against what are you fighting to save our country?
I want to fight for freedom. I want to fight for the constitutional rights and individual liberties of the people of the state of Missouri.
Does our country need saving?
I think that it does. I mean, if you look at the rise of the federal administrative state, you have unelected federal bureaucrats that are telling our farmers how they can and can't use their land, telling us what we can and can't eat, which bathrooms we can and can't use. No one empowered these unelected bureaucrats to make these decisions, and it flies in the face of the separation of powers doctrine in the Constitution. I'm going to stand up and fight for individual liberties and the constitutional structure that protects those liberties.
And kind of going back to a question I asked before about, I guess unity is the word I would use. A lot of your constituents here in St. Louis and Metro St. Louis disagree with you on a lot of policy things. How do you reach out to them? How do you speak for them as Attorney General as well?
Well, I think open dialogue is important. Transparency and open dialogue. And we have a great constituent services department at the Missouri Attorney General's office, and we need to be engaging with stakeholders across the state. I believe in the Constitution, the rule of law, and the people of the state of Missouri, and I intend to get that message out and to win hearts and minds and make people understand why those three things are really important and why they're worth standing up and fighting for.
Bailey says he does not see a higher office on the horizon as many of his predecessors have. The Attorney General's office did confirm with us today that we will get to speak with him on the investigation into Children's Hospital at some point. That'll likely happen next week. Until then, we'll continue asking tough questions of our leaders.